Hello, friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably already know that I'm near the end of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. The system that started off as the Game of Hope in Germany and then was given the name of Lenormand when they were trying to export it to France, and they were successful because there are Lenormand decks all over the world, here in Korea as well. So, yeah, it's a good system, and I've really appreciated spending the time with you with this system because I know that it has helped me grow as a tarot reader, as a reader of cards more broadly, and I hope that it has been of help, of service to you as well. So I strongly recommend now that all tarot readers and oracle readers, and any cartomatic reader, whether it's Kipper or Sybil or any other kind of system, that somewhere in our journey of education, we spend some time with the Lenormand as well, because I find it to be expanding. Yeah, it helps me to expand what I do with other systems as well. So I highly recommend it. And friends, I've got a spread already laid out. If you've been following me, you know which deck and which spread I'm using, because I'm still using the same deck and spread as I did at the beginning of this lunar cycle. But just in case you aren't, I will show you all of that, and we'll talk about all of those things in just a moment. But first, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for doing those things that you do, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing. All of those things help us come together, help us to find each other. And so thank you for doing those things, and thank you for commenting in the comment section. All of those things are wonderful, and you are a blessing to all of us when you do those. So thank you. Now, friends, what I'm going to do is I am going to show you a photo of the spread, and we will talk about the deck and we'll talk about the spread briefly, and then we'll dive into reading the spread together. Are you all ready, friends? Here is this week's spread. Do you recognize this deck? This is the deck that is produced by the same people who created the Tildwyk Tarot. And in this lunar cycle, I am continuing to use the Tildwyk Tarot as my companion deck when I read the smaller spread, that I get a more condensed version of this spread with later on in the week. So, the name of this deck is called the Silson Lenormand, and the creator's name is Malpertuis pronunciation. Don't trust my pronunciation, but you can trust the link I will put in the description box below. I'll have a link to their shop, and you can order this deck. You can order the 10th anniversary of the 10th anniversary edition of the Tildwyk Tarot, which I think is still available. So yes, I have that for you as well. It's a wonderful little deck. Things I like about it are, it has the playing card insert, which is a thumbs up. It is a good size. It could be a little bit smaller, but I'm not going to bitch and moan about the size of this deck. I can lay out a grand tableau with this on the furniture that I have. So that's wonderful. The cardstock is good. It's durable. It's not maybe as good as some of the decks that are out there, but it is very nice. It's easy to shuffle. Here's what the backs of the deck look like. Very nice, very simple. I like the parchment. The only complaints I have about this deck are that a couple of the images are not as clear as I would like them to be. And we will see two of those images today. Another thing that I'm a little bit not so happy with is that some of the cards that I like to read directionally with, for example, well, two of them will be here today. For example, the mountain and the clouds. The directions that I like to look for are not as clear in this deck as I would like. Also, if we're going to be a little bit complaining a little bit more, there are a couple of the titles on the cards are in Latin, which I like. I like that very much. However, I take issue with a couple of the translations of the cards into Latin, and I'm not a Latin expert, but I think that some of the titles could have been better chosen. Just saying. So, but the real complaints, if I have complaints, are that a couple of the images are not as clear as they could be, and the directionality on a couple of the cards is not as clear as it could be. Except for that, it's a lovely deck. And friends, just in case you don't know this spread, I call this a star spread. Some people call it a 13 card spread. Some people call it the Council of 13. I've heard it called the cross spread, I think, before. But for me, it will always be the star spread. And I love it. I love the spread. It's read several ways. Yeah? We read the center of the spread as the significator. Now, there are two ways of doing this. You can choose the significator in advance, and you can shuffle it into the deck, and you can... Actually, no, I would not recommend doing that. I'm sorry. Let me tell you that again. You can choose the significator from the deck, place that down in the center, and then shuffle the cards and place the cards around this central significator card. The second way to do it, which is the way I did it, is to just shuffle the deck and then let the deck choose the significator and then the cards around it. Yeah, so that's what I did. And so the two cards above the significator are the cards for what is on our minds, what is coming down from the spirit realm, perhaps even. The two cards below the significator indicate what our foundation is or what we are standing on. Yeah, the basis. The two cards to the left of the significator give us the recent past. The two cards to the right of the significator give us the recent future. And then the card that is to the upper left gives us past influences, and then the card that is caddy corner to that gives us its results or its outcome. Then the card in the lower left gives us our unconscious motivations, and then the card caddy corner to that gives us the outcome or the results of those motivations. And that's the way we're going to read the cards first. And then we're going to break it down into four large sections. The four cards above, the four cards below, the four cards to the left, and then the four cards to the right, and read those together in the idea of what's on our minds, what is in the unconscious, what's below us, what is behind us in the past, and what is coming up in the future. Does that make sense? Okay, so friends, I will show you the deck again. I'll show you the spread again, and then we will read this together. I will also put inserts up here of the cards that we're focusing on at each specific time. Are you all ready for all of that? Well, friends, here we go. Here is this week's spread once again. Friends, just so you know, I like to get a general overview of the spread before I dive into reading cards individually. Yes? And what you just saw at the top of the spread from the center was the dog. And then from below it, left to right, we had the letter, the mountain, and the cross. And then below that, we had the coffin, the ship, the significator, which was the lily, and then the woman and the clouds. And then below that, we had the stork, the tower, and the fish. And then at the very, very bottom, the man card. Now, some of these cards have come up recently. In fact, some of them came up last week, which is actually not all that surprising because this is a 13 card spread out of a deck of 36. Yeah? So having cards come up a second time is not surprising. Having cards come up in the same position is a little bit surprising. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So, like I said, I like to get an overview. And one way to get an overview is to go look at which cards are positive, which are negative neutral, which are positive neutral, and which are just neutral. Yeah? So we start off at the top with the dog, which is positive. Yay, team. Yeah? And then below that, we had the letter, neutral, the mountain, which is negative, and cancels out the positive dog. Right? The cross is negative. So we've got one negative card. Right? The coffin below is negative neutral. The card beside it, the ship, is positive neutral, so that negative neutral is canceled out. The lily is positive neutral, so we've got one positive neutral and one negative card. The woman is neutral. The clouds are negative, so we have two negative cards. The fish are positive neutral, so we have two positive neutral cards. The tower is neutral for me. The stork is positive neutral, so that's three positive neutral cards. And then the man is neutral. So we have two negatives, full-on negatives, and three positive neutrals, which means that it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but it skews a little bit more to the negative than the positive. So does that mean you want to check out now? I don't think so. I'm not saying that a negative spread is going to be giving us, bummer news, but rather it's going to give us information that will be helpful for us, I believe. And the card in the center, the significator, is not all that bad. It's actually a little good. So we want to keep our minds open, our hearts open, and recognize that negative things are not necessarily bad. Yeah, they might be challenges, but it's not necessarily bad. And we also look at the playing card inserts, yes? So what do we have here? We've got how many hearts? We've got three hearts. I'm sorry, we have three hearts. And we have how many diamonds? We have two, let's see. Yeah, we don't have that many diamonds, do we? We've got 1, 2 diamonds. Okay, so 2 diamonds, 3 hearts. That's a total of 5. Which means the rest of the spread is skewing negative in the playing card inserts as well. Yeah? So, again, not the most bright and cheerful spread that is possible. But again, the significator is the lily. And if you recall, the lily was in the exact same spot last week. And here it is, right there, the lily card. Lovely card in this deck. And I love that we can see that the lily has strength to it. Yes? The lily is upright. The lily has a very, resilient and strong stalk that it stands upon. Now, some lilies only have one stalk, right? This one here has one stalk with several flowers on it. And what is this lily a symbol of? Well, remembering that this deck was used in a very Christian context in its beginnings, both in Germany and in France, although one is more Protestant and one is more Roman Catholic, still very Christian environment that this deck was created in. So the lily, the symbol of the lily, points us towards things like baptism and funerals. Yeah? The lily is also a sensuous flower. Have you touched a lily? Have you felt the fleshiness of its petals? We call some of our decks rose petal finish, right? Because of that soft touch to them. But really, if we're looking for something that is sturdy and has that fleshy feel to it that we don't want to call fleshy, the lily is a much firmer, a much more resilient kind of flower with that feel to it. Does that make sense? So we have ideas of what? Of harmony, of family, and also sexuality with this card. It's the card of maturity. Yeah, the upright one, the virtuous one. We have a king here, so it could be a mature man or an older man, a man with gravitas. Yeah, it's a spade, so this is a thoughtful man, perhaps. But I think we're really pointing towards our own maturity and our own sense of harmony. And we're asked for that again this week. Because there's a lot of crap going on around us. Have you noticed that? Maybe you have. If you're living in the United States, you've really noticed that. If you've been observing the United States, you've probably been noticing that. And there might be a lot of crap around you in other countries as well. I am right now in South Korea. So I'm watching what's happening in my home country with compassion and hope for improvement, but I do know that it's not a smooth ride in the United States these days, right? And it's calling for all of us to rediscover our ability to act and behave and be mature, I believe. Whether we've been acting and being in that state of maturity these recently or not, that's what's being called from us right now. So yes, we got this wonderful lily card in the center, and the whole spread revolves around that. So what's going on in our minds? What's going on? Yeah, we start off at the top with the dog card. What is a dog? A dog is a loyal beast, right? It's a creature that has co-developed, has co-evolved with humans over a long period of time to be a loyal friend, a reliable friend. An interspecies relationship has developed over aeons. So the dog card here represents friends, friendship, loyalty, and reliability. All of those wonderful characteristics of a dog. There are also the guard dog ideas too, right? The dog is also a protector of humans. It could be a male or female, friend, chum, platonic relationship of some sort. This isn't the fuck buddy card, just saying. But so what's going on? Our friends, our friendship, our loyalty, the people who are loyal to us and the loyalty we feel for others, maybe even institutions. This wonderful dog here, which is a positive card, and this is why, while I do read generally the positivity and negativity of a spread, That's just an indication of possibility. It's not the firm answer because of this card now. Yes, this card is the mountain card, and it describes the dog card. So right now, our friendship and our friends are mountaining. What does that mean? And the mountain is a negative card, right? So we've got this positive and negative card standing in close proximity right above our significator card. And this mountain is what? It's high. It's something that stands in our way if we're on a journey forward. It could be a spiritual height. It could be the height of Olympus, where the gods live, but it could also be our reaching a spiritual height. I don't know if you've had the experience of being on top of a mountain when the sun breaks through the clouds, and that uplifting feeling you can get when you see this expansive sky and the light shining through. It's beautiful, powerful, and impactful. But here what I see is more the obstacle side of the mountain. The mountain is what stands in our way when we're trying to get from point A to point B, right? So it feels to me like our friendships and the loyalty that we have been feeling, expressing, have been an obstacle for us. And that's what's on our minds right now. Whether it's our loyalty to our jobs or to an institution or to a person or a group of people, whether it's our feeling that we need to be reliable like a dog, that's become a problem for us right now. It's become a challenge for us, yeah? It's not insurmountable. Yeah, we can get over the mountain, but right now it's a mountain for us. It's standing in our way in some way. Does that make sense? And then below us, what do we see? We start off with this tower card. The tower, what is that? It's a high place, like the mountain is a high place, right? Below us, we have this high place that is used to observe great distances, make sure that there are no enemies coming to attack us without our knowing and being able to prepare for it. It's also a symbol of an institution, an educational institution, or some other kind of institution, yeah? We have the bell tower of a church, the clock tower of a university. The towers are the central architectural element of an institution, or with one building or many buildings that we can point to and say, there it is, right? Or listen for example, the bells ringing and say, oh, there it is. Or I can hear it. I recognize it is there. It is in my wider space. So what is the tower for us? What are we standing on? The tower signifies solitude. Think Rapunzel in the tower, yeah? Perhaps taking a step back. The institutions we work for or in, like a company, a university, a college, a school. What I see is for us, again, we're still standing on our isolation. Why do I say that? I say that because this next card is the us card, yeah? The man card. And the man card, because I'm reading for all of us through me, is our personal significator in this spread. Yeah? The woman card will be our partner. whether we are in male bodies or female bodies or intersex bodies or trans bodies or cis bodies, it doesn't matter. We're all the man card for this spread, and our partner, whether that is a romantic partner or otherwise, is the woman card. Whether we're straight, gay, queer, asexual, it doesn't matter. Lesbian, it doesn't matter. The woman card is our partner card. And the woman card does not necessarily mean a person in a woman's body. It's just the partner card. Get it? I hope you do. So for us, we are standing on in our call for maturity is the isolation and the removal from society that we had been feeling, that we've been standing on, because that is us. We are the tower. Now, that song, We Are the World, we are the tower. Okay, so, wait a second. Put on the brakes. Let's go back for just a second. We are the tower. Yeah, okay, so it's not, okay, so I take it back. It's not necessarily our isolation or our removal from society. It is that we are the tower. Yeah, we are the one who is standing up and being visible and being upright and true and standing for something, like a tower stands for the church or stands for the university. We are standing for something. And that's what we're standing. We're standing on our standing for something and standing up for something, which is making our reliability and some of our friend relationships a challenge and an obstacle. Because maybe we're not all on the same page. Is that resonating with anything for you? I hope it is, because that's what I'm seeing for us right now. And now we're going to take a quick peek at our past. Yeah, the past begins with this card here with the coffin. And the coffin's been showing up frequently. And while I love the image and I love the card, I do not see coffin when I see this card. And the reason why we want to be able to pick out the images or the symbols on each of the cards quickly is because when we have them all laid out on a table and we're looking for the coffin, we don't want to have to be thinking, okay, so what does a coffin look like in this deck? And you know what I mean? We want it to just pop out at us when we do a quick scan. And this card, I would have to really work at memorizing this card to be seen as the coffin, because it doesn't look like a coffin to me. It looks like a guy working in the fields with a wheelbarrow. Yeah? Just saying. And so I don't really get the directionality, the direction that I want from this card, because I'm not really sure where the head of the coffin would be or the feet of the coffin would be. Yeah, coffins, the head of the coffin is something that is ended quickly. The feet of the coffin is something that ends slowly, because what is a coffin? A coffin is the thing that we put the dead body in, right? So it's a symbol of the death of people, the death of also pets would be incorporated in that, right? We put pets in coffins too. It's the thing that we store things in as well, right? So there are the thoughts of funerals, death, but also putting things away and putting things in hiding even. Yeah, why do we put people in coffins? Because it's safer that way, right? Because as the body decomposes, there are things that come out that are not necessarily healthful for the living human beings around the body. So we put them in the body, in the coffin, and then we put the coffin in the ground. We don't stand it up in our living room, generally, right? We put it in the ground so that all of that stuff that is unhealthful for the living is safely tucked away, right? So what do we have with the coffin? We have endings, we have finishes, right? Loss. We lose people. We feel like we've lost people when they die, so there's loss. It could be renewal. I don't see it that way generally, but I've heard people say it's also an indication of renewal after the death, kind of like the death card in Tarot, though I don't like to equate Tarot and Lenormand, personally. It could be the mourning associated with death and funerals, the mourning, right? Not mourning evening, but the sadness mourning. It could be the feeling of emptiness, of cancellation or stagnation, yeah? Stagnation is another form of death, right? It could also be a box that we put things in, like if you're looking for your keys and you use Lenormand to help you find them, this card comes up. It could be that your keys are in a box somewhere. Yeah? But for us, the past is, I think we're talking about endings and the feelings of loss from the past. Have you been feeling loss recently? Loss of things gone by? And what kind of loss is it? The loss that we've been feeling is modified by this ship card, right? The ship card, which, okay, I've got to say, is not the easiest card for me to see, because there's a little bit too much going on. And yeah, you see the sea goddess down there at the bottom. You see the ship on the ocean, but the ocean is in a semicircle, so that's a little bit confusing. It's not, we don't see the whole ocean. The ship looks a little bit like a city to me when I'm looking quickly, so it's not the easiest card for me to read. It's not as difficult as, for example, the letter card, which we'll see later, or even the coffin card. But it is a little challenging. But what is the ship card for us? The ship, it's what people used to go long distances at the time of the creation of this deck. We didn't really have railroad systems covering Europe at the time. Yeah, so to get from point A to point B, if you can't ride there on a horse or in a carriage, you would take a ship across oceans, but also down large rivers. It's also how we transport merchandise, right? Commerce, trade happens with ships. So what is this card indicating for us? It could be travel. It could be a holiday. I don't think we're talking about holidays, though. This card could also be like I said, trade or commerce. It could be a motor vehicle. It could be your car. Yeah, it's a mode of transportation, right? But I think we're thinking about long journeys, great distances. And because this card comes at, I don't know, is it the head or the foot of the coffin? Anyways, so because it comes after the coffin, what I see is that the ending has been protracted, has been taking longer than it might necessarily need to. Yeah, that things that will end are taking a long time to end. It's been a journey of ending up until now, which could be the reason for our increased maturity. I'm not sure about that, but it does seem like things that were in the past that are coming, that could have ended, are still ending, but really slowly. Yes? And what are we looking at in the future? In the future, we start off with the woman card, which is what? It could be a significator, but not in this case because we're reading through me for all of us. So the woman card is our partner. It is our intuition and our receptivity as well. But I think we're moving in the direction of whoever our partner is, whether it is a romantic partner, a married partner, a business partner, a work partner, a friend, a very intimate friend. Again, not fuck buddy, but a very close friend. Whoever that is in our vicinity or coming into our vicinity is bringing along with him, her, or they this card, which is the clouds card. What are clouds? Clouds obstruct our vision. Have you ever climbed up a mountain on a cloudy day? Feels like you're entering a thick fog if the clouds are low enough and the mountain is high enough, once you enter that cloud, it feels like you're walking into a fog, right? You can't see clearly in front of you. Have you ever experienced that? So this could be the fog card, but it isn't. It's the cloud card. But it serves the similar purpose, yeah? Can't see clearly. There are problems. There are delays. Yeah, we can't move as quickly as we would want. There's confusion because we're not really sure where we are or where we're going. There's ambiguity. The path forward is not, again, clear. There are delays as well. And there's that feeling of intangibility, right? Seen from a distance, a cloud looks like it has a fairly clear shape a lot of the time, especially cumulus clouds, but you get close to them and you realize that there are no real clear boundaries to the cloud. So there's that intangibility. You can't grab the cloud. So what does that mean? It means that our partners that we're moving toward in the near future are confused. They have problems. They are, there's an ambiguity about these partners, which could be a result of a continuance of the challenge or obstacle of friendship and reliability that is standing in our headspace. Maybe because of that, there's this feeling of ambiguity or unreliability or uncertainty about our partners. Does that make sense? And that calls for, again, more maturity from us. So that we're not being immature and hyper-reactive or just the wounded blamer. Right? Our maturity is called for right now. So I told you about those cards that were at the corners, right? The card in the upper left-hand corner gives us the past influences, and that card is this card, which is, can you see that this is the letter card? This is probably the card that I think is the most irritating to me in the deck, because what I see is a city. Yeah, there's a guy walking in front of it, but I see a city. Yeah, there's a bird flying above it with something in its mouth, but I see a city. I don't see a letter. Until I look really closely, okay, I see that the number is 27, 27, which is the letter card, right? Then I look at the card and I see, oh, look, the birds, they do have, I guess, letters in their mouths. And oh, look, the guy, it's hard to see, but maybe the guy is holding a letter in his hand, maybe, I don't know, is that a letter? Yeah, these are the things that go through my mind. So this is the letter card. What is that? Letters. They're usually from one person to another. They contain messages and information. Different kinds of information and messages than are in a book, but still, information and messages in a letter, generally from one person to another. And that could be what? It could be actually letters. It could be text messages. It could be email. Any written communication. It could be documents or contracts. If you have documents or contracts in your life, they are not necessarily your best friends. You want to be really clear when you look at contracts and documents this coming week. And the message, if it is a letter, comes not quickly, not as slow as a ship, but still not fast. So what is this letter telling us? In the recent past, we've been getting information, messages, contact. Does that make sense? And that contact and the messages that we're receiving, heck, if you're reading cards, that could be the letter card as well. You could, if you're a card reader, those cards, and you notice how they're greeting cards. Right now I'm thinking Tarot Lenormand, but there's that idea too of cards, right? So messages from the divine through our cards. Could be that too. Leads us to what? Leads us to this beautiful card, which is the Stork card. The frogs on the Stork card are a little bit confusing, but not horribly so. What is the Stork card? The stork is a bird that builds a very large, strong nest. But why do they build a strong, large nest? They migrate. They go to warmer climates for the winter and they come back in the spring and summer. So they're migratory birds. And they still build these huge, very sturdy nests because they come back to the same nest. So they build it a very sturdy one, right? They're also, through culture, through legend and story, the birds of new babies. So all of that together gives us a card that is about positive changes. Transformations in our lives, movement to something new. Things develop with the stork. Not always as they were expected, but they do develop. And the stork has the Queen of Hearts there, which is one of those few hearts in the spread, which gives us a gentle, home-loving woman, right? A caregiver, a nurse. So our letter, the messages we've received, which could be letters, texts, emails, or through the cards, lead us to, I think, positive change. They lead us to our movement forward, our transition from perhaps the need to be mature to something even better. And what's better than being mature? Perhaps not needing to be mature, right? Our ability to be playful again, like children, because things are settled, things are okay, and we can start to play again. That would be nice. So the messages, the written information, the stuff we get in our cards is leading towards positive change and transformations in our lives, which is nice, but it's not here yet. And then for our unconscious motivations, we start off with this fish card, which is wonderful. Maybe. So our unconscious motivations are for fish, which are what? They're the symbol of resources, of cash money even. Because at the time of the creation of this deck, fisher people were ones who would go out on their boats, drop a net, pick up a net, and have things to sell pretty immediately. A farmer plants the seeds, nurtures the seeds, make sure the seeds are nicely watered. It takes a long time for the results to come in. Fish, same day. So it's the card for money, resources, abundance even. It's a card for water, the water of the soul, of emotions as well. The King of Diamonds here could indicate a businessman or an entrepreneur, an employer. Not our immediate supervisor, which could probably be the bear, but rather the employer as in the head of the company, the owner of the company. Yes? So our unconscious motivations are our desire for abundance and our desire for money, for our resources. Maybe even a desire for deeper contact with our inner lives, our emotions, maybe. But I think we're looking at money and resources here, because the result of our unconscious desire for money and resources leads us to this card, which is the cross card. And the cross card, remember, this is a Christian context. This cross card is this card of burdens and death of the Christ figure, right? Death of, and then resurrection as well, certainly, but first the death of the Christ, which we see here on the card. A lot of blood too. You see the blood dripping from his arms? And maybe dripping from his feet. It's hard to say if that's blood or not, but still. The cross is burden. Yes, it's fate and destiny. Because Jesus the Christ was destined to die with this implement if you are Christian. Yes? So things that are above it are raised up, are lifted up. There's nothing there. Things below are pushed down. They're stopped. They're finished. Things to the left, things below are depressed. They're burdened. Things to the left are stopped and they are finished. Things to the right, they are strengthened, but there's nothing to the right. All that we have are the things that are below and to the left. So there's the stopping of things, the finishing of things, and also the depression and the burden of things are here with the cross card. So our desire for abundance, our desire for resources results in our being burdened and having a hard time, calling for, again, our maturity. Does that make sense? So friends, we still have 4 other ways to read this spread. We'll do it fairly quickly, but we are going to do it. And so first, let me show you the spread once more. And remember, we'll read the 4 cards on the top, we'll read the 4 cards on the bottom, we'll read the 4 cards on the left and the 4 cards on the right of the significator. So try and get a feel for that as you look at the spread. Here it is. Friends, we start off with the 4 cards on top. Okay, let's start off with what's on our minds. And we start off at the tippy top with the dog card, right? Which is our friendship, our friends, our reliable people, and our loyalty and reliability. And it could be us, but probably it's the other people, the actual friends in our lives, yeah? The people who have been reliable to us and loyal to us. And they move into, we start off on this side with the letter, yeah? So maybe we get text messages from them, we get letters from them, emails from them. And the next card Sorry, where am I putting this? I'm putting this over here. Yes. And then the next card, next to the letter card, is the obstacle card with the mountain. Yes? Now, I like to read the mountain directionally. And the mountain is right below the dog card, right? So the dog card is the burden. It's the obstacle, the challenge. And one side of the mountain card should be easier to get by, and one side should be more difficult to get by. And it looks to me a little bit 6 of one, half a dozen of the other here with the mountain card. So that's why I'm saying this card is not the easiest to read, but I just noticed something. Do you see the path? There's a path here, yeah? There's a path, and it looks like, I don't know, is there somebody going up it, or is it just a rock next to the path? But do you see the path starting out in the bottom center of the card, and then winding its way up to the upper right of the card? So that means to me that there's a path around the right side of the card. Which is interesting, because that means that the communication, the letter, from perhaps the friends, or the email, or the text messages from the friends, they are the difficult thing, the challenging thing for us. The easier path is what? It is the cross card, right? Which is what? It's burdens. It's also the endings of things, right? So the cross card, remember, things to the left, they stop. So, though the letters, the communications, the written communication from our friends is challenging and an obstacle for us, there's a path around that obstacle that brings an end to it. With the cross card. Does that make sense? Yeah, there's a way around this challenging communication that we're getting from our loyal people and from our friends. And the 4 cards below us, what are we standing on? Well, we are standing on the fish, the tower, and the stork. Leading to us, right? So the fish, abundance. Remember, we have this unconscious desire for abundance, but unconsciously we are abundant. Yes, we are abundant. We have resources. We have unconscious resources, resources that we haven't tapped into even yet. And those resources lift us up. Yeah? They make us higher, which allows us to do the work of transformation and change in our lives with the stork. And so, our abundance, our resources, right, again, they are our institution. They are what keeps us secure, stable, in a way. And I don't want to confuse this card with the house card or with the anchor card. It's different. But our resources raise us up for us to do the transformative, positive change called for with the stork. And that's all about us, because we are right below. We are right below those 3 cards. Yes? Now we have the 3 cards from the past, which start off with the coffin and then move into the letter, the ship, and the fish. So again, coffins, endings, things that are boxed up. So this slow, long, prolonged, protracted ending that we're experiencing from the past to the present is showing up for us in our communication. Maybe that same communication from the reliable friend, from the people who are loyal to us. And they could be providing documents, but I think it's letters and written communication, which are taking a long time with the ship. And that may be the reason why the ending is taking such a long time. Because the communication is taking a long time as well. But that leads us to our abundance, yeah? But we have the fish here as well, which gives us our resources, our emotional resources too. So even in the midst of this long, protracted communication ending, or the endings through communication, we still have our resources here for us. So we don't need to be trying to reach for them too hard, which is burdensome. But we want to appreciate them for what they are. Does that make sense? And so we're moving into the future this way, the future, which is what? It's a burden, right? The cross, it's a burden. It's there's a spiritual quality to that as well, but I think there's a burden around us, and it could be us, that is weighing down on and depressing our partners. Because the partner card is right below the burden cross, right? And yet that's not an entirely bad thing, because that leads to our transformation and movement and the positive changes that can come out of this, right? And if we look at this spread, let me think of where this is leading us. So we have positive changes, we have good stuff with the stork, but that leads us to the clouds card, which is, again, not being able to see clearly. So we don't know where we're going with this transformation. The changes might be unexpected or unpredictable. They're going to be good, but because the clouds card is what comes next, we won't be able to predict or know in advance what we are going to be experiencing. And so again, our maturity is called for, to be able to navigate the endings and the new thing, because we can't see clearly. Does that make sense? So this spread is telling us that we are called for... No, I'm sorry, let me say that again. This spread is calling forth from us our maturity and reminding us the importance of our maturity yet again, because the people around us are not going to be as easy for us as they might have been in the past. Now, our friends might end up being a little bit of a challenge. Our partners might end up being a little bit of a burden, or they might be feeling burdened because of us, and we're not able to see clearly where we're going, even though we are asked to have hope or to know and trust that there are positive changes that are occurring in our lives. Does that make sense? And we don't want to cling to our desire for abundance, but rather know that the abundance that we seek is here. We don't need to box anything up, even though the endings of things that have been in our past seem to be taking a long time. We don't have to, there's no scythe card here to cut them off, right? We're not cutting them off. We just want to be mature about the slow, drawn out ending process that we're experiencing. Knowing that we're going to be moving into a better future. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, in just a moment, we're going to see the QR code for my online tarot, my online reading shop. And what's up there right now is still tarot readings. But if you want, I could do one of the spreads with Lenormand too. Just saying. Yeah. So if you send me a message saying, I want to do this spread, but I'd like you to use Lenormand, I will do that for you. Okay, so check out what I have to offer. And also, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.